Hey guys, welcome to Expanded History. I'm your host Seth, and enjoy this episode. With the imminent threat of a Russian invasion into Ukraine looming so ever larger by the day, the attention on Ukraine's defense seems to be primarily focused on their capacity to wage a defensive war on the ground and their ground capabilities designed to immobilize and destroy heavily armored military vehicles such as their anti-tank capabilities. As these discussions on Ukraine's defense continue, there seems to be a lack of discussion on Ukraine's anti-air capabilities, from their man-portable air defense systems to their surface-to-air missiles. If a potential war were to break out between Russia and Ukraine, the ability to maintain some form of a successful defense against Russia's military might is largely dependent on who controls the skies. Although it is no question that Russia will ultimately control and dominate the skies over Ukraine if a potential war were to break out between the two nations, it is important to understand that Ukraine has the capacity to make a waging war in its skies an unpleasant experience for any Russian military aircraft flying over. For the sake of the video, we will be disregarding Ukraine's Air Force capacity, as the majority of its air fleet is comprised of old Soviet-era aircraft that will most likely be destroyed in the first initial strike by Russian ballistic missiles and aircraft. But in today's video, we will primarily be focusing on the two major components of Ukraine's anti-air defense capabilities and network. That is, its arsenal of surface-to-air missile systems and its man-portable air defense systems, or MANPADS, both of which will be used extensively in a full-scale regional conflict between the two nations. Starting out with Ukraine's inventory of surface-to-air missile systems, it is important to understand that this can be split into two major categories: short-range surface-to-air missiles and long-range surface-to-air missiles. These operating systems, most commonly known as ground-to-air missiles or surface-to-air guided weapon systems, is a missile designed to be launched from the ground to destroy aircraft or other missiles from large distances and altitudes based upon the radar. Starting out with Ukraine's short-range surface-to-air missile systems, its inventory can be broken down into a handful of different Soviet-era and modern variants. The numbers vary, but there are approximately 6 short-range Tor-M variants, 70 Buk missile systems, and a large number of 9K-31 Strelas and 9K-33 OSAs, some of which are still actively being maintained for modernization, scattered across different parts of Ukraine. These short-range surface-to-air missile systems provide Ukraine with the flexibility to maneuver around defensive positions at a more rapid pace, while also having the capabilities at countering Russian cruise missiles, smart bombs, fixed and rotary wing aircraft, and unmanned aerial vehicles that may impede on its airspace if a war were to break out between the two nations. While Ukraine has a relatively large inventory of short-range surface-to-air missile systems, it lacks the numbers in its long-range capability. From what we know, the only concrete information that we have on Ukraine's capabilities is from the mid-2000s, when they only had a few batteries operational. It's suspected that there is only a few long-range Soviet-era S-300s, some of which are being actively restored for service as we speak, that are fully able to carry out its capabilities. Although Ukraine has a small number of these S-300s, they still pose a major risk to Russian aircraft, having an approximate range of 200 kilometers, as well as being able to lock on and shoot down Russian fixed-wing aircraft from longer distances and altitudes, depending on its radar capacity. Now that we've discussed the first major component of Ukraine's anti-air defense capabilities, this being its surface-to-air missile systems, let's discuss the second major component of this arsenal, this being its man-portable air defense systems, or other known as MANPADS. MANPADS can be broken down into what is essentially a surface-to-air missile weapon system that can be shoulder-fired by any individual or a small team of people against low-flying airplanes and helicopters. These weapon systems can be perfectly demonstrated in the 1979 Soviet invasion of Afghanistan, where local guerrilla fighters used US-made Stinger anti-aircraft missiles against Soviet forces, causing a large number of casualties and downed aircraft. Ukraine has a large number of these MANPADS in its stockpile, as well as the ever so increasing number of them being supplied to Ukraine by Western countries such as Poland, Latvia, and the United States. This large stockpile can be consisted of US-made FIM-92 Stingers, Polish PRMs, and old Soviet-era IGLAs. The Ukrainian ground forces have deployed a large number of these anti-air units carrying these weapon systems scattered across the Russian and Belarusian border, being able to put on standby for any potential invasion by Russian ground forces. What makes these MANPADS so potentially dangerous for Russian aircraft in Ukraine's airspace is that they can be easily maneuvered around and fired without any large equipment and quickly put away at a relatively cheap cost, making it hard for Russian forces to locate and eliminate units carrying these weapon systems. All in all, we know that any potential Russian invasion into Ukraine will come with a swift and hard first strike by Russian ground and air units, more than likely wiping out majority of Ukraine's air force in the process. It is important to remember that Ukraine has a lethal capability with its surface-to-air missile systems and its man-portable air defense weaponry to make any Russian invasion in its skies that of an unpleasant experience not seen before since the 1979 Soviet invasion of Afghanistan. As we know, the ability to maintain some form of a successful defense against Russia's military might is largely dependent on who controls the skies. We'll just have to wait and see in the near future how this plays out. Thanks for watching, and as always, like and subscribe for more videos.